And she also is a published author, and we're going to talk about her book here in a minute. And also, she has a wonderful line of healing products that are based around essential oils. So basically, we're going to talk today about energy healing and the emotions and how important the emotions are in your healing journey. And also, we would like to talk about this current pandemic that we're facing with the coronavirus, because, of course, it's not just the virus that's making us sick. There's also an emotional component. So we're going to talk about all this fun stuff. So welcome, Sabina. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Katya.
Yeah. So let's just start from the beginning. Tell us about your journey from Poland, what brought you here, what you were doing before you became a healer.
Well, I guess childhood wasn't the easiest. When I was in first grade, my mom came here to the States. So I was raised without a mother. It wasn't easy. I guess I blacked out everything from that time on. So I don't remember anything. And once she came back after 5 years, we all came back here to the States. My mom, then we lived with her, and my dad went to his own ways. So it was kind of hard because we were very disconnected. She wasn't there with us. And that kind of made me hate everything about women, everything about a mother. So I really was disconnected from my own being in that sense. I was raised by a father in the beginning, and I had a brother too. So I guess a lot of masculinity within me, since very early age, and just coming here and being taken away from what I knew there was very challenging. Brought a lot of rage, a lot of, I couldn't really find myself here. Another part, new language, not having anybody help me with the language. It's just my identity was totally off. And just having all these emotions, because I knew all of them. I think I got to know all of them. In a sense, made me look for something that would help me. And I got onto a path, and it also affected my skin, but I didn't know back then that those two things are connected.
I remember that from your book.
Yeah.
An Awakening of the Soul. In fact, that's some of the stuff I was highlighting when you were talking about your emotional transformation, and realize the source of your acne. So we'll come back to that, but continue.
Yeah, so, just dealing with my physical aspects and my face, that I really didn't like how it looked, and I obviously didn't like myself for it. I just started looking for things, and obviously we started with going to a doctor, but that didn't really help, even though I knew people who dealt with the same thing and got the same thing and it worked for them. It didn't work for me. So, I was starting to change my diet. The juicing and smoothies, and I've seen improvement, a lot of improvement, but it still wasn't it. So one day, and I started, I guess I was using oils before, but later on, my cousin came to me and she's like, Sabina, I got this great thing, you should use it. But I all went, oh, I got mine. I know what I'm doing, like we all do,
Never want to listen.
Never want to listen. And it took her a little bit. And I think one time when I asked her to babysit, she came in and she kind of brought them out, and it was just an immediate attraction, So I jumped onto this path with oils because I was already a lot about, natural things. I learned when my son was maybe 2 years old, so basically 10 years ago, I learned what probiotics are, long time ago. So I was into those things, and after inhaling them every day, twice a day, very committed, and even applying them on my face to help my face, I noticed something different. I noticed that those physical things didn't change as much, but I felt way better.
And I just want to inject that what she's talking about are not just any essential oils. She's talking about a very special brand called Young Living, which she's also turned me on to. And for me, seeing is believing. So I had to try them myself. And they are much more potent than what we call normal essential oils. For instance, you know, you can get them at Fresh Time grocery store. They have their own line of essential oils, which is great. I mean, it's a great way for people to start. It's a lot cheaper. But once you get into it, you realize, you know what, I want something a little bit more potent.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what the Young Living oils gives you.
Yeah. Yeah. People have different opinions about it. And I always ask, listen, do you see a change? If you don't see a change, maybe that's not something that you should be using. Maybe you should look somewhere else, but it's a personal preference. But for me, definitely huge change. I was always, I would always um, say that I was like a walking bomb. I could explode at any given moment with anything and everything. I was just on edge all the time. And I guess after a month, maybe a month and a half of using them regularly, my mood swings were gone. And I didn't even know that yet, but my mood swings were gone. Because, when you're in a way of being and you're that one way, this is what you know. You don't know you can feel different. You don't know. And you have to experience something to even know that it exists. Like for me, this was me. So after I think the first time I noticed, and I talk about it in my book, and I tell this to everybody, is when me and my friend went for lunch with my daughter, and she spilled tomato sauce all over her shirt. And normally I would flip and be like, "Oh my God, there's gonna be a stain," and all this. And this time I took a wipe out, and I was cleaning her shirt, and I go, "Oh, honey, that's okay. Mommy will clean it." And I go, "Whoa, who was that?" That was the turning moment for me when I was like, that was not me. I don't do that stuff. And then I started digging a little bit more and looking into the oils that I got, and I became kind of fascinated with it because I had no idea that something can influence our emotions in such strong, beautiful way. It was just amazing. So I started doing them. And eventually decided to write a book because I mean, if I can feel better, so many more people can. And
And
without,
you were an interior designer. That's the thing, is that you were already working on, space, living space, how to arrange things to make
yeah,
you feel better. That's the thing about interior design that people don't understand, is it's not just the aesthetic of what it looks like. It's how you feel when you walk into a home,
yeah,
and it's arranged in a way that the chi flows, and you feel good.
yes,
And so you already were on that path, being an interior designer. But this, the essential oil awakening, is really what spurred you into Reiki too, isn't it?
let me think. Yeah, no, actually I started using the oils, and once they kind of allowed me to open that cage and get out there, because I was in this biggest cage and I would not, I was a mother already, I had a son, and I felt, I'm stuck home. I can't do anything because yeah, I have a child. I was going to school. And what happened was that, sorry, um, I just, I decided, okay, finally I'm allowed to do things that I want to do, and I'm going to go and do them, regardless of whatever was keeping me from doing that, because I had a lot of emotions that prevented me from doing the things that I love. And we went for an essential oil meditation for release. And that's what I meant. A woman who was doing the meditation, she was a Reiki master. And,
Ah, so the
and
oils opened you up to Reiki. Aha. Now,
and
just for people to understand, because I also am a Reiki master like you, although you do it more as a profession, for me, it's more for a personal thing. But just for people to understand what it is, I want to hear it in your words.
Well, that's a good question because everybody does it in a different way. I mean, it's called Reiki, but there's so many ways of people doing it. So for me, I guess I got very drawn into it, and it just allowed me to open up gifts, things that when I'm able to work with a person and just allowing to be this clear channel to bring all the love and light energy through me into somebody else and receive messages from their spirit telling me how they feel, because many times I will feel the emotions that they feel inside, so that helps me kind of guide them with the oils, because if I know how they feel inside, and sometimes people feel something but they don't know what it is or they don't know how to describe it, you know what I mean, especially with children, then I can say, okay, so this is what came. So it's basically, for me, Reiki is, it's self-love practice, because you learn what energy is and how it works and what emotions are, and that they are energy and that we can shift them and change them, and they don't have to feel the way they feel inside. It's up to us, honestly.
And the blockages, like you were talking about, the emotional blockages, when I'm working on somebody with Reiki, you can feel it. It feels like a tight knot of energy over that area. And just for people wondering, well, what does that have to do with astrology? Why are you talking to this woman about energy? Because the connection between astrology and Reiki and what you're doing with the emotions is that in the body, all of the chakras are aligned with different planets. So as you're working on someone, if they've got a blockage, in their sexual organs, they've got some Jupiter issues. That's Jupiter's chakra, and so you would do mantras for Jupiter to also help release that,
Yeah.
so, really when you get down to it, the grahas, or the planets, are just frequencies. They have a grip over us. That's what graha means. It means to grasp. So these planets have these massive, they're massive. Of course they're going to affect us.
Yeah.
And even if you don't believe in the distance, it's the quantum field. Through the quantum field, they affect us, as above, so below. But that's the connection between energy medicine and Vedic astrology, are the planets and the frequencies.
Yeah, and actually, many times the planets would come in the session. When I guess it works like this. When we get into a subject, whatever it is, and we start learning about it, that becomes like a tool in that modality of Reiki. So each planet has a symbol. So sometimes those symbols would come in, and
Yes, and those symbols are very important. There's no small coincidence that they are made the way they are. So if you really want to get to the esoteric meanings of the planets, then meditate on the symbols for each planet.
Yeah, that's fascinating. All that stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And I on my software, I don't use them because well, when I'm giving a reading to someone, I want them to know what it is, like I want them to be able to read it. So I'll have, Mars, Saturn, whatever. But for, advanced astrologers, this is something that everybody does, is they use the glyphs on their charts, instead of the names. It forces your mind to associate that symbol with the feeling of that planet. And just so people know, in Vedic astrology, the way they arrange the planets from, all the chakras is the root is Saturn, because that's the stuff that's the heavy energy that binds us to this planet, right? Our foundation. Second is Jupiter, children. Third is actually Mars. It's our willpower. Fourth is Venus. It's love. Fifth is Mercury, because that's expression in our ears too. And then this is where I found it was so interesting. Sixth is the sun, and that's the pineal gland. It's the third eye. And so what we're discovering now in, quantum physics, and also in some of, the more, physics-based groups like the Thunderbolts group who are the electric universe theory. They're now showing that our sun is probably a wormhole and a portal into other dimensions, possibly a link with other stars and a link with the galactic center. So knowing that our sun isn't just this dead end energy, it's actually a wormhole into other dimensions. That's what the third eye is. And that's why the sun is associated with it. And then the seventh is the moon. Because that's, you know, our higher consciousness, our subconscious too, our link with the divine. And then of course, you know, they say there's chakras up here and there's one underneath the earth and stuff like that. But that's the way it pans out in the body with Vedic astrology.
Very good. Yeah, so, you know, with Reiki, all of these things come in. And I guess my main purpose, goal is to help people with their emotional body, because that's what I learn how to understand. And so that's what I focus on when we do Reiki. And a lot of messages comes in about their past lifetimes, you know, so all kinds of stuff comes in, and depending who is working with me, you know, they get all kinds of different information, and just working through you know, whatever emotion is, because it came in this time. So that's you know, that energy that's stuck on their body connects to, you know, past lifetimes. And that's what kind of oils kind of help me realize, because some oils, you know, even though, for example, if they are very hot oils, they will bring something very cold within the body.
Really?
I had a couple of situations with one of my friends, for example. She was putting thieves, which has a lot of cinnamon and clove, you know, those hot oils. It's a burning oil. It's going to burn you if you put it on a delicate area skin. She put it on her feet, and she said her feet became so cold, like she was frozen. She couldn't move. And I go, that's not that's not a normal reaction, you know. So we did use plants in our past. So sometimes those smells and those you know, oils, they will pull that up depending on what it is.
And the bottom of your feet has nerves that go all the way up to your brain. So the best way, like, to get rid of memory loss, dementia, lemon oil on the bottom of your feet. The acid literally eats up all of the protein casings and stuff that cause Alzheimer's.
Powerful.
Yeah. So the bottom of the feet is very important, but also something you said to me, and you've said it several times over the past month. She's like, oh my gosh, Kathy, I can't believe all these clients that are coming to me with these DNA ancestral patterns that need to be broken. And so that's the thing that is blowing my mind right now too, is that I even had somebody the other day to me, and she goes, you know, I'd really like a reading, and I feel like I'm cursed. And I said, you're not cursed. I think it's more like your DNA line has been cursed, you know, into playing out this pattern. And you are fighting it. You don't want to do it. And so you feel like you're cursed because you don't want to play out what the pattern is. I said, there's nothing wrong with you. What you need to do is separate yourself from that pattern and look at it objectively.
Yeah, exactly. That's that bigger understanding of, you know, it's not only me and what I'm dealing with here right now. It's me and this whole lineage of people that were before me, and I was there with them at one time. So it's, you know, once we learn to understand all of that, things become way more easier, and we can find more understanding and just lose all that judgment towards self. So,
and the discernment, like, you know, that's when I got my palms read, you know, Ganchiam said, no, you're not from this planet. This is your first time here. I said, what are you talking about? What about all these past lives that I thought I've had? He said, no. Those are your ancestors. Those are the little people in your blood. You know, those are their stories. It's not your story. He said, who you are, you've never been here. But you've come into this body with this blood, you see, and the blood carries the DNA, which DNA is, honestly, it's just a frequency, you know, and that's carrying the memories. And so you think it's you, but it's not you. And so when I learned to discern between what I thought was me and what I thought was my ancestors, I really felt this big weight come off of my shoulders, you know?
Yeah, because we're so judgmental towards self. Whatever we feel, however we feel, we don't really know where it's coming from and what it is, and we just, like you said, this we hold this weight, and whatever you hold, some people hold it on their shoulders, some people hold it on their stomach. It's like, we hold this energy, and we don't really know where it's coming from. So, world of energy helps us understand what it is.
Yes, yes. And the cool thing about Reiki, you guys, is that there's a time travel key. So we can do it remotely. You don't have to be in the room with us. We can put you on our Reiki grid and you still will receive the energy through the quantum field. Although if you're hurting physically, it is a good idea to let somebody work on you with their hands because it'll be more powerful. But if you don't have that option, the time travel key works great.
Yes, yes. When I always do it with kids because they will not be able to lay on a bed for an hour. So what I've learned to do is they go to sleep. I first communicate with their spirit, like get an agreement that we're gonna be having some fun together, and then when they sleep, that's when I work, and it's very helpful because it helps. I kind of allow the parents to know what the kids feel, how they feel, what they have been through, and because they cannot express any of those emotions. So that's when it's distant, this one with kids.
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool.
So let's talk a little bit about the coronavirus because, currently it's, what is today, March 20th?
21st?
21st? I don't know, where are we? What timeline are we in? What planet are we on?
Important one.
21st. Okay. So, everything is becoming on lockdown. Businesses, non-essential businesses have to close. They're really trying to stop the spread of this virus, which I think is great. I don't think it's going to last forever. I feel like this is just a temporary thing to stop the spread. And then once we get more of a handle on it, things will get turned around. And, this is all, us Vedic astrologers have been talking about this for the past year, watch out, we're coming into, the north node of the moon called Rahu is now in Gemini in the part called Ardra. And the south node is in K2, the south node is K2 and it's in Mula, which means the roots. So we're getting to the root of the problem of this. And Ardra oftentimes indicates disease. And so, we knew, and this is where the nodes were when 9/11 happened. Okay. And so we knew that something
is coming.
Was bound to be, happening. And we knew it was going to be bad, but we never thought it was going to be like this. You know what I mean? And so before we talked earlier, you said that the frequency of viruses in general is, and you were looking at a book to refer to that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, one of the books that I refer to in my book as well is this book called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils, written by Carolyn Main. Looks like this. It's very dear to me because it talks about emotions, and there's so many emotions. We don't really have idea how many emotions there is,
right.
People usually talk about, okay, there's grief, there's depression, there's sadness, but there's just so many. There's, for example, fears. There's fear of wisdom, there's fear of being alone. There's so many. I think
fear of being loved.
Yes, there's so many. I think there's 20 something, 21 maybe fears. I counted once.
Well, and this is the part that I really want people to get from our talk today, is that in order to heal, you have to engage the emotions. Yes. For instance, I've been listening to lots of people online talking about great remedies for coronavirus, or, you know, things to help boost their immunity. There's all these wonderful supplements out. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but the missing link I've not heard anybody talk about is adding the emotions to the equation. So for instance, in feng shui, you know, when you're working with the law of attraction and, you know, working with arranging things in your home, to draw in the energy, you can't just think that, you know, this, by moving this object, I'm going to create something. No, it's the feeling that comes from that is going to draw to you the same frequency. Like attracts like. So, you know, that saying, fake it till you make it. Literally, if you force yourself to smile, your body will produce the chemicals that are associated with smiling. And that will jumpstart the process of you authentically feeling happy.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think it's so important for people to realize, you know, that yes, we have to be aware of what's going on. Yes, it's important. Don't blow it off, you know, but not to let the fear of the situation take us over, but rather focus on what is the best outcome for everybody from the situation, and focus on what that feeling is going to be. What's it going to feel like when this pandemic is over, the restaurants open? Think about all the parties we're going to have, all, you know, and unfortunately all the funerals we're going to have. But I mean, no one can even have funerals right now because we can't be together, you know? And so just, you know, focus on, you know, what it's going to feel like when we're coming through the tunnel and we see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then as you're taking your medicines, focus upon that, you know, like I'm taking, for instance, let's say I'm taking colloidal silver. You know, don't just take the colloidal silver, take that colloidal silver and infuse it with love.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to be a Reiki master to infuse something with love, you know. Take that thing and just say, oh, this is going to help me so much. Oh, thank you so much to these plants, or, you know, whatever is in this jar to help heal me. And just putting yourself in that state.
Yes, it's that that, you know, we forgot to do, and it's about being here and now. So kind of this whole situation right now kind of makes us think about the now, right? It's like the biggest teacher. Okay, what am I gonna do now? This is what's happening. Our mind doesn't really go and flow, blah, blah, you know, wherever it goes, because many times we forget about the now and we are thinking about the future. We're focused on the past. But right
and we're
now,
not in our body, you know, we're not in our body. See, this is, you know, as a dancer, you know, for 26 years, I was a professional dancer. And for me, that was my, that was like, okay, this is something I can control. You know, I may not be able to control my family or life circumstances or this or that or the other, but you know what? I can control my body. I can exercise. I can make myself feel good. And when, you know, right now, everyone is so in their mind. Oh, fear, 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 right? But if you just get into your body, you know, you don't have to go to the gym. Go outside, take a walk, do some yoga, do some crunches, do some weightlifting. That's what I did this morning. And I was like, God, it feels so good to be in my body and to focus on that. And then, like I was telling you, you know, the connection between the mind body, the scientific connection is that it's not just our brain or our the brain in our gut that produces the chemicals of emotion. They're actually produced all over our body and our blood through the peptides. So this is how, you know, our emotions can affect every part of our body, not just, you know, the things that we think are obvious, our gut and our brain. And so I feel like, you know, just being aware of that will help people realize they do have control over the situation. Because everybody's arguing right now about where does it come from? You know, China wants to blame the United States wants to blame China, the Middle East wants to blame the United States. But you know what I think? I don't think it's any of that. I think it's actually a galactic virus. I think Oumuamua brought it to us, you know?
Earth has this intelligence, and we can always try find blame somewhere, but it's something made it happen. That intelligence made it
Surrender. We have
happen.
to surrender. Surrender to the divine. You know, there is a plan, there is a pattern, and you know, there is a creator.
Yes.
Who has this? You know, he's got this. He's got it under control. We don't have to freak out about it, except for, you know, just the small things. You know, take care of our family. You know, make sure we have enough to eat, etc. But you know, I'm not going to give in to this fear.
No, because we have to, just what good will it do? It will only stress out our body and lowering our immune system. That's what fear does, right?
And attract more of the same.
That's what the emotions are. This is what I learned. It's the way I choose to feel, because I have a choice.
Yes.
And, there's a lot of, there's always so many different schools of spirituality approaching those, the emotions, and people, say all kinds of different stuff, but and they say, you have to purge and purge and purge. And I've learned that it's, you're gonna go through something, let's say getting angry, because I used to be an anger ball, and I thought it was stress, but then in one of those books, I realized there's an emotion called anger, and hello, I got it. So I learned that it's, people say it's purging. Okay, it is purging, you're letting it out, but you will continue on letting it out until you understand that, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore. That's when this awakening. I am not going to get angry anymore, because I just get depleted. And when you understand the world of energy, you start, seeing how you're affected, how the person is affected.
And there's a time and place for everything. You know, you don't have to live in that anger all the time. But just, that's also why I think I've connected with you so much, because you're not afraid of people's emotions. You're not afraid of people's anger. And that's something I've noticed with a lot of spiritual people. They really, I don't know, I don't like it, but it seems to be prevalent in most, new age kind of spiritual communities, that anger and being mad about something is wrong. And it's not. You have to realize that there's a reason that emotion is there. You don't want to indulge in it, but you also don't want to indulge in any kind of emotion, and that includes, being a selfless martyr, and so sometimes you have to let it out. But like you said, you can't stay there. Unpack all that stuff, but don't unpack and live there. You know what I mean?
Try not to, affect, because sometimes we affect other people and blame other people. We have to be conscious about how our energy affects everything around us, but it's ours. So, this is how I see it. Being a mom in the house and a wife, and with all that anger that I had, I would bring so much chaos into this house. That's what they say. Not happy mama, not a happy house, right?
That's right.
So I chose to start, being more gentle towards myself. That's that healing aspect of this, and being angry. Just be more gentle. And one thing that was happening to me all the time was I would get terrible, terrible throat aches, just terrible. And I would lose my voice for 3 days every time I got sick. It's because my body was, Sabina, zip it, be quiet. Because just my anger would come to my voice, and my voice was so powerful. And one time I met a girl, and we got into this argument over other situation somewhere, and she was the person who showed me how powerful a voice can be. Because I didn't know that, and I had a voice like that, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't do this, because it does. It's not a good.
You had to experience it on the other side.
Yes. So like you said, emotions, they always have two sides. So let's say being sad and being happy, you have to learn both. If you're sad, you want to be happy. Sometimes you go too much into the happy and ignore everything else.
Right.
So I find that balance, like with every single emotion, there's always two ends.
Right. Well, and the important thing is to remember, it's the shame. Don't shame people for their emotions, and don't shame yourself.
True.
You know, the people that shame other people for being angry have themselves been shamed for being angry. Somebody has told them, you shouldn't feel that. You shouldn't say that, you know? And so they hold it in until one day, poof, they explode. And it's like the worst thing ever, you know? And so that's why, you know, it's a delicate balance between letting it out and indulging in it.
Yes, yes, and definitely. I mean, if I wouldn't have letting it out, I don't know what would have happened to me. But
Yeah, it literally
I guess
makes you sick.
it helps you release. And you know, usually people who really hold things in, then their identity, you know, when you hold things in and you never allow yourself and honor your own voice and how you feel, when you hold that in for so many years, then things go really not in a good direction. I don't want to say where, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I experienced that myself. But what were you saying that the frequency of the virus is?
Yes. So in one of the books, remembered, now that we're in the situation that we are in, I remember that I saw a virus, like a location on your body. The woman who wrote the book, she's an acupuncturist, so it has to do with an acupuncture point that there's a location called virus. And it's located around a little bit below the sacral chakra, the second one. And the emotions that connect to that virus point are illusion, um, disintegration, and the feeling that I can't do something. So that's kind of eye-opening, you know. So that this is, I saw this one video and I really resonated with it. You know, they said that this virus is something that we all have within us, you know, and that's what we're dealing with those illusions, with the fact that we are not connected to our own spirit, to our own guidance, and we're just being led by the outside world and, you know, the things that gotta be done and this and the money, and we forget that there is this intelligence, like you said, that divine, you know, whatever you want to call it, that does take our soul on this journey and tells us where to go and what we're good at and what our gifts are. We forget about that. So right now, actually, the beautiful thing is that, you know, those things that kind of distract us and disintegrate us, those illusions, they're kind of taken away, and they're telling us stay home. Everything that make you run away from this home, because some people do run away, they run, you know, like there's mothers who have trouble staying home with their kids. I was one of them. There's fathers who it's only work, and they never spend time at home. You know, there's those, they keep on running towards those things. And right now, it's about the home, the temple, you know, our inner temple, because these are the things that we are starting to learn about ourselves, about the, you know, the wives and the children, and we find compassion. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, the virus.
So the planets that would be associated with that, everything you're talking about with the virus sounds very much like K2, which is the south node of the moon. And K2 can bring a lot of anxiety. You know, K2 takes you out of this world. Rahu brings you in, K2 takes you out. So it's all those fears of loss of the self, loss of others, you know. I mean, K2 doesn't have a head. He just has a body, you know, and so he can't think. And he's got blind faith because he doesn't have any eyes, you know. But he can lose his head with rage, you know, because he doesn't have a head. And so I feel like people are just, you know, really losing their head with anxiety and rage. And then, you know, the shadow of the moon, what is that? That's the eclipses. That's Rahu and Ketu. So that energy of the shadow of the home, the home is moon. It's the fourth house. And so the shadow side of that, you know, not being at home, not being with our family, our mothers, especially being with our mothers, the nurturing, that's what's been missing. And, you know, I feel like, you know, maybe the galactic origin of this virus is just Mother Earth herself. you know.
I've heard that. I've heard this beautiful video. This
Oh,
guy.
really? I didn't. I just got that. That's something that just came to me because I'm like, it's from off planet. It's from off planet. Know what? I think as Mother Earth said, y'all need to chill out. Y'all a hot mess. You need to stay with your families and invoke my energy because this cannot go on. You know, it's like we think we're ruining Mother Earth with all of this stuff, blah, 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 blah. But look what she's done. In, 2 weeks, she has shut down our whole modality of living.
I agree with you.
So I beg to differ. I think Mother Earth is in charge. I don't think we're ruining her. I think she's taking control. This is what I think is happening.
Yes, because she's got her intelligence, like she's got her operating system. You know, that's what I would. And when we think we can control things, it's like, you know, we're her children. We're here with her, so we're supposed to work with this guidance, with this, you know, all this energy, the signs, the things that come, and dreams, and the things that show us where to go, what to do. You know, we totally disassemble that, and that's her operating when we're trying to do things on our own. And it's just, she's like, no. And that's what this guy said. You know, he said he went to Mexico. He was sitting by the sea, and that's the message that he got, that this is the antidotum. How do you say that word? Antidote. Yes, for that she released, because, and he was also incorporating, he was like, it's not only about the humans, it's all about the ecosystems, about the animals. And I so resonate. I was crying and watching, you know, listening to that video, because I go, I agree with this. And there's the only people who we can blame.
That's right. And it's up to the mamas, it's up to the mothers and the grandmothers to lead the way. Because just like Chief says, the earth belongs to the grandmothers, because the grandmothers do not want war. We know that all children are our children. Doesn't matter what nation, race, or gender they are. And the grandmothers are the ones that have the unconditional love that we all need to emulate at this time, you know. And also, you know, being at home is going to make us connect to the Akashic records to get the original blueprint, because right now the blueprint, the stuff here is messed up. So we need to go to the origin and get those sounds and those frequency. And who holds those frequency? The whales.
Yes.
And the whales are the largest creatures on Earth. I'm sorry, I don't think they're affected by the coronavirus. I think they're happy in the ocean. They're swimming with their dolphin friends. And they're the ones that they're holding the original frequency that we need to tap back into.
That's a very good point. You know, when you say that virus has a frequency, and then, you know, right now, what aligns with it or doesn't align with it. This is what's happening. That's why we have to keep our vibes up, you know, and just remember that, and just rethink our life, reset, like this is a reset, big reset. What are we gonna do? And when it comes to the teachings of the grandmothers and the mothers, it's, you know, we have the opportunity right now to stay home and look at our kids. And when you say Akashic records, oh my gosh, I so agree with you, because we're each other's ancestors. You know, the whole story is in everybody's home. Everybody, you know, it's.
And family. This is what I was telling Laura Eisenhower a couple weeks ago when we talked. I said, you know what? Everywhere I go, I treat people like they're my family. And that keeps me safe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, as soon as you treat somebody as the other, that fear comes into the equation. But if I look at you, we're at the airport and we're waiting in line, and you know, your kids are, you know, fighting or whatever, and you're having a hard time, and I look at you and I say, oh, sister, I understand. Yeah. You know, and you just.
Yes. Somebody understands.
I see your struggle, and I'm here to help you, and I do something maybe to make the kids laugh or whatever, you know, just that kind of interaction.
And you know, when you have this interaction with people, did you notice that, you know, like they're so separated and so away, and when you actually tap into their energy field and like, I understand. And they go. It's like, like they feel it. They don't really know what it is, but they feel it. It's like this connection that is lost. So
Yeah. And you know what? I always make friends with the TSA agents. I don't know what it is, but they just love me. And I just approach them because they know, I mean, they can tell I'm not a criminal. You know what I mean? So it's like, and we're all just trying to get through this together. And I always say something to make them laugh. And they always are like, oh, thank you. Like everybody, you can just read their mind. They're like, everybody treats us like we're the enemy, and you treat them kindly and they just melt, you know?
there's people who do those, important jobs. Like one of those stories is we went to a forest preserve just to give some thanks to the trees and to Mother Earth. And this lady comes along and she picks up garbage in the forest. And I went up to her like, "Thank you for doing this." And she was standing there in tears because people look at people who clean and such a big job, such one of the biggest jobs. She goes and she helps the forest stay clean. So we have to remember about just being nice and seeing other people and just understanding, so much understanding.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be what, it's like the hundredth monkey effect, when you start that energy, somehow those monkeys on that other island, knew what was going on and they adapted. It's that telepathic connection that happens through the quantum field. But this is what I want people to really understand from this, is that, as we're all battling this, is that got to bring the emotions into the equation. You can't just take that great CBD oil and go, oh, it's gonna cure me. It's gonna, save me from the coronavirus. Only if you add in the heart energy to that.
Yes, there's one thing that really stood out to me, and we as, let's say, young living distributors, we cannot always say everything, but when it comes to those things that help our body, there's, let's say, three different ones. And it's all about frequency. It's, there's part of those who only work with our physical, so because they align frequency wise with our physical body, with our organs and things. And there's other things that are going to work more
Filled
with
up with
our
more
emotion.
water.
Yeah, memory. So our emotional, and then those higher, like the third phase, higher frequencies, they help us connect to our divine. So when I started using oils, for some reason, and it was not planned, and that's one thing, we have to allow to be guided when it comes to this. And for me, because I had so much judgment towards myself, I would not be able to have anybody sit in front of me and tell me, "Sabina, this is wrong. This is what you're doing wrong." I would just But working with oils, I was able to just sit with them, take those books, and be honest with myself, because I'm just, with them. They don't judge me. They don't criticize me. I was raised in a very critical and judgmental house. So that for me was very something huge, something that I, didn't want to be around. But working with oils, I would just pick and feel guided and, feeling them out. And which one I'm going to use today and which, tomorrow, and just asking myself where to apply them, because everybody is so different and we all have so many different emotions. And like you said, those planets, they all affect us in a different way. I mean, one planet, one chakra, but there's so many different things going on there that, different oils will work differently for that center. So just being guided and doing this stuff just brings, huge shifts. But if somebody focuses only on their physical body, not like the emotions and stuff, they're trying to, I don't want to say fix, but they're trying to keep something intact that is affected by, the emotions, but then that spiritual connection that we have, and it all starts here. If we lose that, this is how I kind of see it. We come here and we come with a purpose. Our purpose is to live, but we have other purposes and things and gifts that we know, we want to do. And our experience here takes it away by, just us not feeling emotion good about something, and we take those blockages on and block things and block things. And then that spirit connection of ours is getting blocked. But we have this physical body, right? We have our soul in the physical body. And when the spirit is being blocked, our physical body first shows us through emotions, So we start feeling angry, let's say. Usually, they always say that when it comes to anger, it's because we don't do things for ourselves. We don't have a hobby. We don't spend time with ourselves. And we're just angry, like.
I think something was taken away. For me, that's always the basis. It's like I'm angry that, I something wasn't fulfilled.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you start feeling those emotions, and then when we don't take care of them, and that
push them down.
Yeah, when we push them down, when we ignore.
That's what depression is. You're depressing the anger.
Yes. And when we don't face them, and sometimes there's such old things from the past that we don't even know what they are. Those things will manifest in our body. So for example, I'm going to use my mom as an example. My mom right now is going through, chemo treatment. She just finished it. And, me doing what I do, having my mom, and our relationship wasn't the best, but I'm like, okay, let's heal it. Let's see where we can go. Just doing Reiki and bringing to her situations that are shown, from her past lifetimes and things that she's working through right now in this lifetime. That's, same circle, but in a different way, a little bit lighter, but it's still the same. She was able to understand, this, like with her, it was about the adrenals and the kidneys, because that's where it kind of started, because she felt that she, like when our adrenals are our strength, like
our fight or flight response. It's intimately related to our immunity. Yeah.
So if we feel that we lost something, that we're not so strong anymore, that area will be eventually affected. So it was about her losing a child in one of her past lifetimes. And for some, she was able to connect with it. She was able to feel it out. And it was about, as a woman, coming into a marriage with somebody that she didn't love. She felt like she lost her life, So we were able to pick on those things, and she would work through those emotions and use the oils and like find more understanding. She began to share things that she never ever said before. It's a very, very beautiful process, of healing when people learn about the emotions.
And this is the thing about oils people need to understand, because, of course I told my doctor, my general practitioner, I said, I've been using, Young Living, the citrus fresh, which is good for your immunity. And all you have to do is look at the citrus fresh to see how orange it is. It's full of vitamin C. I mean, there's no way that, they could have extracted all of those citrus fruits and not gotten, so much vitamin C in there. And I said, look, you know what? I said, it doesn't really matter if it scientifically works or not. What matters is that people think it works and they feel like it works. And even if it's placebo, people are healing, and that's what matters. Because some people say, oh, well, the oils just smell good. That's all it is. I said, well, what happens when something smells good?
Yeah.
And it's fragrance and music are both just high frequencies. That's Neptune. Neptune is just a higher frequency of Venus, and those two planets are associated with music. And so, it doesn't matter if it's scientifically working or not. What matters is that people feel better, and that is the basis of them healing.
Yeah, they feel better, and it's not toxic.
That's right.
On your body. And that's why we have our nose. People think, okay, so nose is for what smells good, what doesn't. But with our nose, when we would live long time ago in nature, and we would inhale all these plants and all these flowers and all these trees, and that was something that those scents that come into our nose, they help our body and all those glands produce hormones, produce all kinds of stuff. I'm not even gonna go into it, but there's like 500 different things that they help us produce, like
Right.
dopamine, whatever, relax. That's because of the scent. That's this thing, this organ,
Yeah.
and we put in that nose. Perfume, only things that are toxic, and we're off. Obviously, we're off. We don't have that balance. And when it comes to oils and plants, they have spirit. That's just one
Oh,
thing that.
yeah. There are overlords for plants, and there are overlords for drugs too. Dark overlords that sit over like cocaine and meth and heroin. That, that's how those people get pulled in. It's not just the chemicals, it's that dark overlord. So if you can connect with the spirit of the plant, then, you are really advancing and having that frequency encode into your DNA.
Yes, yes, and they tell us what to do. They tell our body to remember. Plants, they don't carry all these emotions like we do. They say they're emotional, but they don't analyze, they don't judge. They know who they are. They know what their purpose is. They're standing strong. Even there's another plant standing to me. They don't compare each other, all that stuff. But
Right,
they
right, right.
remember who we are. Just finding our own purpose and our own truth, and that's the wisdom that they bring us. They bring us wisdom and
And
connect.
that plant wisdom that you're talking about, I mean, that really comes from Gaia, don't you think?
Yes,
Because all these plants are growing on her.
yes, yes. That's like that's a whole another subject, but that's true. I was thinking about this too. First, I was thinking, how is that even possible that a plant could make me feel this way? And then I started connecting this. There's certain plants that grow in certain areas and certain countries, and they bring whatever is over there. There's those sacred places, let's say, like the frankincense or myrrh. There's those plants that are very potent, and
German
they are.
chamomile, it's one of my favorites.
And they then they connect with our lives because one time we were there. So it's this web of life,
So
right?
what are your favorite essential oils? What are the ones that you grab every day, or, like let's talk about like specifics.
There's so many, but I think lang lang for one, because that helped me really, really calm down. And patchouli, they help us balance our hormones. So talking from the physical aspect, but emotionally, they just every emotional oil has lang lang basically in it. And lang lang is the one that connects with our third eye because it helps us release fear of wisdom.
Oh, it is the sun energy, isn't it? Because the smell of it is very peachy. And it's from China, and it's actually used in cosmetics. It's like the most used essential oil fragrance in cosmetics. And but it's peachy. It has a peachy kind of warm smell to it. So that would be the sun.
And everybody, when it comes to those smells, it just people will smell things so differently.
That's true.
I have no idea. I have no idea. But yes, it's a sweet scent. And many times, let's say people who are dealing with the emotion that this oil, this plant is touching upon, they will hate the smell. So it's
I
like,
used to hate patchouli. Oh my God, I used to hate it. And I was following the Grateful Dead. I think that was part of it, though. It was that everywhere I went, people that were the pretentious hippies all wore tons of patchouli. And it was like, oh my God, you guys, take a bath. That is not going to make you any more of a hippie by dousing yourself in too much patchouli. But now, like before we started, I put in the peace and calming essential oil, which has a heavy patchouli, which I don't get the patchouli so much when I put it on my skin. Maybe it's absorbing it, but when I put it in the diffuser, oh my gosh, It's
Really?
like very patchouli.
Huh. Yeah, that's, when it comes to those blends, you can smell it every day, and every day might smell different, and it has lang lang in there too. But
Really.
you can call me. I love that. It's
I
beautiful.
love it too. I love it too. Okay, so what's another one? What's another that so ilang ilang, and then what's the second?
They brought this huge impact for me. And then one oil that I kind of received, and I'm gonna say as a gift, how things work out, because the company kind of made a mistake, and instead of a different oil, that's what I got. It was called Three Wise Men,
Oh,
and I was putting it on my crown chakra until the bottle went out, and I think that was one of those things that really helped me shift. Just those, just bringing in this wiseness. I was kind of, like saying, setting intention. So that's one that I used. I used it in the beginning. The oil that I always go to is Sacred Mountain.
okay. So just to go back for a second. So Three Wise Men. What are the predominant oils that are in that blend?
Oh, I would have to look that up. I can't from the top of my
I
head.
mean, just from the sound of it, I'm going to say frankincense and myrrh, probably.
Probably myrrh.
Probably.
I, I would have to look it up. I can't tell right now because that was a while ago. Yeah, but that was that one. So
Okay.
so Three Ways, not, I'm sorry, Sacred Mountain, um, of course, lavender. Recently, a lot of vetiver.
Vetiver. I
Mhm.
love vetiver too.
Yeah, those mixed, that one mixed with patchouli smells like one of the most beautiful perfumes. People have, just there. People were asking me, "What kind of perfume are you wearing?" I'm like, "I'm not wearing perfumes anymore." Patchouli and vetiver, beautiful combination. But vetiver
Uh,
is third eye, and it's about if we do not feel that we're fulfilling our purpose, it's this location with vetiver, and our the third eye and our pituitary gland, they help us regulate all the hormones in our body. They're like the precursor to everything else. So this is what I learned recently when I was helping my mom. So, and we inhale it right there. It goes right there, so it's so important. um, but there's so many oils, Katya. Inner child, third chakra, that connection to the I do center, to inner child. What else? Cedarwood,
I
and
love cedar.
I this oil in the beginning. I swear, I bought it. I used it before I went to sleep, and at night I woke up and I go, "Ooh." I felt like I'm gonna. The scent made me so sick, like it literally made me sick, and I
Wow,
have
you
to
needed it.
body, but that's what they say. When you inhale it, the molecules go into your system, into your bloodstream, releasing all the toxins, and your bloodstream gets all these toxins dumped into, and that's what makes you sick. That's what
And
makes
that
you.
is the connection people need to understand is that, the way the oils work, yes, they work through the emotions, they work through the quantum field, but more specifically, they work through the blood. And understanding PNI or psychoneuroimmunology, we know that we've got these, peptides running in our blood that are that literally have the same receptors on them that we have in our brain and in our gut for endorphins,
Yeah, thank you for
and
that.
they're running all over our body. So that's how the oils work. So I mean, the science is there. People don't need to think that it's some kind of woo woo thing. I mean, really.
Yes, and I get it, and it's like with me, I was blessed enough that I learned about this, through my own experience. Because before, whatever people said, I'm like, okay. I love the smell, and I was drawn to those high frequency oils, like dark blue labels. There's some kind of correlation with the colors too, purples and dark blues. I was just in love with those smells. Highest potential, magnify your purpose, surrender. grounding. It's just, and another thing, the names of these oils kind of made me think. Grounding. I never heard word grounding before. I didn't know what it was. Really? I didn't know what it was. Laugh all you want. I had no idea.
Wow.
And I there's something behind this, there's some message behind this. And so just, thinking how somebody can be so connected with the plant kingdom that they can create with their wisdom, with those different plants in one, something that will help you release. To
It's
me,
a
that's,
symphony. Yeah.
wow.
It's a symphony. And they say that, the cosmos, when you get out there far enough, it's a symphony. It is just music, and it's not just one frequency or sound. It's several working together like a chord. And that's why I think that, the blends in Young Living are so wonderful. I ordered one called White Angelica, which I cannot wait to get. And then one that I love to burn these two together, Envision and Valor. Get that very, high crown chakra frequency. I like to do it in the morning, like before I'm going to start writing or doing something. And it really like expands my vision. But then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to attack that keyboard.
Yes, there's something magical. It's magical bottles of oils,
Yeah, they really are. And I know, we talked about this, and I know there's a lot of controversy about the company and the founder and things like that. But none of that matters. What matters is how the oils work for you. Proof's in the pudding is the way I look at it. And that's why I said, Sabina, I know there's all of this gossip out there about Young Living and blah, 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 but usually that's because somebody's successful. And so I'm going to experience it for myself. I'm not going to listen to what other people say. I need to know myself if these work or not. And so I started working with the oils. And for me, the ones that are the most important for me to have all the time are peppermint, because I put peppermint in my coffee, which is fantastic. It tastes like Christmas. I put peppermint in my water. I put it in, like if I'm drinking a soda, I love those Zevia sodas. I'll put a little bit in there. That's my first. Second is the citrus blend. Because of my immunity issues, I need to get as much vitamin C as possible. So I put it on my wrist. I put it in the diffuser. Actually, I don't put it in the diffuser as much. I should. I just don't want to waste it because I want to put it in my water. I want to ingest. And this is the important thing, you guys, is that the Young Living oils you can ingest. Other essential oils you cannot ingest. So don't rush to your grocery store and grab a peppermint and think, oh, I can drink this. No, you can't. The only one you can really ingest is the Young Living. And so the peppermint citrus blend, I like to save it for ingesting. But the ones that I like to do in the diffuser are the thieves oil. And thieves I put on my wrist too, and on the bottom of my feet, as well as the lemon, because it has a very therapeutic property. It's got an immediate effect. That clove will just hit you and warm you up right away. But I like to diffuse the thieves. That's one of the ones I like to diffuse.
Yeah, the story behind thieves is that the name of it. It's when there was the Black Plague, I believe.
Yes.
People were robbing the graves, and they came up with this oil blend that protected them from the plague, and that's where thieves comes from.
Yep.
So that's
so ever since this pandemic started, I've just been diffusing thieves as much as I can. I sit here in my chair and I put it in the diffuser here, and I just try to get as much in as I can. And so those three are like my mainstays. I've found, like, I have to have those three. And then the other ones that I'm experimenting with are, I've always loved frankincense. So frankincense and lavender is a great blend, especially for meditation, for calming down, wisdom, and then of course the valor and envision. The lemon I put into my water. That's another good one for the bottom of your feet, like the thieves, because that acid breaks up. I mean, those nerves in the bottom of your feet go all the way up to your brain. So whatever you put down there is going to affect your brain right away. So anything acidic is really good. It will help with memory. And then what else have I been experimenting with? Well, I have the Raven, which is good for, and I have respiratory issues. And then I have not gotten the RC yet. That's the one that I think I need to get next.
Yeah, the balancing of the respiratory. Yes, yes.
Yeah, RC and Raven are good for respiratory. So
RC
those ones would be really good right now for coronavirus. If you feel like, you're weak, you need some strengthening in your lungs, even just like, Vicks Vapor Rub, take your, Raven and your RC, maybe put some oil on your chest first, put the oil on there, and then just rub it in and just let it soak in.
Yes, because they say that fear tightens our lungs. Breath. So those oils that expand the lungs, and we can approach it from different. Like you're talking about Raven and RC. That's the physical aspect of the lungs and how they expand the airways into it. But then we can also expand our airways with oils that deal with the emotions that have to do with the lungs, like grief, like depression, like feeling lonely. There's all kinds of different things that like feelings of being unappreciated.
Yes.
Another thing that tightens the lungs. So there's many ways to approach it. I always approach it from the emotional.
Yes.
For some reason, but that's just me. I mean, obviously the physical. If there's a lot of discomfort, I will, do the physical. But I always tell people, if you work with the physical, you got to think about the emotional, because
well, and this is your time right now, my dear, because where the eclipse points are at, which is Gemini and Sagittarius, are where yours are at, where your Rahu and Ketu. So this is, and Rahu and Gemini is all about the lungs. It's about breathing, and I feel like, with anxiety, you go,
yes,
and you don't breathe.
Mm-hmm. And that's what
we're all being forced to focus on our breathing and stay home. And I don't want to say it's a good thing, because I'm sorry that so many people have lost their jobs. The economy is trashed. All the good that Trump has done has been erased. Although I do think he's gonna bring it right back around. I really do. It's in his chart, by the way, that it is his destiny at this time to lead us through this war. And this is what my teacher was saying about the election time this year. She goes, you know what? I think we're going to be at war. I don't know what it is, but I feel like this isn't just a danger. This is like, we're going to be at war. And, during a war, like a real wartime, there are no presidential elections.
Okay.
They suspend them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a component of what's coming up. But I also feel that, this is, we're going to come out better. We're going to come out stronger. We're going to come out on the other side of this with more love. People are going to have more compassion for each other. And because of all of this, our businesses will flourish. I really think that the other side of this is not doom and gloom. I feel like, so many people were feeling left out. Think about the homeless people. Think about, how are they going to quarantine? Like, why are they excluded from the family? It's not right. Everybody deserves, and this is the difference between the patriarchal pyramid paradigm that we've been in for the past 2,000 years, which is everybody climbing, fighting each other to get to the top. And that person at the top is doing everything they can to beat everybody down because they're scared to death. They're going to get taken off, right? That's been the patriarchal pyramid paradigm. Now, flattening the curve doesn't mean just, flattening, the disease from spreading, but it's about society coming back to the round table. Think about Camelot and King Arthur and how, think about those people that were at the round table. They had to earn their right to sit at the round table. You're not just given that. You have to prove yourself. But once you've proven yourself, everybody has an equal voice, And that's where society is coming to. It's a instead of a masculine paradigm, it's a feminine paradigm. And this is the change that's happening. And even though I hate to see people suffering, I don't like a lot of the chaos I see, but I know that ultimately it's for our best and highest good.
And we have to look at this like that, and I think one thing that helps us find that compassion and become this one big family, because right now we all know that we are all dealing with this. It's not only about this person losing their job. There's so many people around the world dealing with the same thing. So maybe it's gonna, I'm hoping, understand for people that, I'm not the only one. This is happening to other people. And we as this one collective, we have to realize that this is the time when we really have to step up and help each other. Everybody, everybody. Those over there and those here, and we just have to make it all better so we can all go through this transition easy and smoothly,
Yes.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much, Sabina. I just know that this is going to help so many people. And that's why I do these talks, is because I want to help people. I want to give people, the comfort of knowing that they're not alone. The information's out there. They just have to be open to it, and that we're all in this together. And, that beautiful energy healers such as yourself are there, waiting to give service. And so what is your website so people can know how to contact you if they want a Reiki healing?
I don't have a website. I use Facebook right now. So the page is called Oily Temple and Healing Arts. Okay. That's the site that I work through.
Okay. So it's a page and not a group, correct?
Yes. No, it's a page. Yes.
Okay. So it's oily, like oily, like OILY Temple and Healing Arts with Sabina Myszka. And that's where you can contact her for Reiki healings, as well as information about the oils. And, also her wonderful book, which is The Awakening of the Soul. And this is her own personal documentation of her experience of healing her emotions. And I feel like this is something that everybody should read right now. We all have time at home. We all can read those books we always meant to, and this is such an easy read. It flows, and everybody can relate to it. And it's just baby steps. I feel like we've all been taking these baby steps, and it's time to engage. Time to engage all those things that we've been wanting to do. So thank you so much, Sabina. I appreciate it so much. And namaste. And I will be seeing you soon hopefully sooner than that, but I know for sure Star Knowledge is going to be, or actually around Halloween this time. So it's going to be beautiful in Southern Ohio, you guys. I mean, just September and October down here in Southern Indiana and Southern Ohio is just gorgeous. And so for sure I'll see you then. But hopefully I'll see you ahead of time somewhere else. But thank you so much, and see you later. Thanks.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Thank you. Bye.